Hey guys, this is Nathan from RunDreamAchieve.com, and in today's video I want to talk about how to run a sub 4 hour marathon. Now, a sub 4 hour marathon requires the athlete to be able to hold 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile for 26.2 miles. This is obviously a very, very competitive time. There's a lot of athletes out there that are trying to focus on just trying to break 2 hours for a half marathon, and yet you're trying to go after holding two of these back to back with no break. So, my training philosophy, I've had the same training philosophy pretty much since 2007 in terms of preparing for marathons, and that you have to train far below your goal marathon race pace in order to be able to sustain that pace over a long period of time. The number one goal for athletes, I don't care if you're training for the mile or you're training for the 5K or the marathon distance, you have to get accustomed to what your race pace is and get it to a point where it feels comfortable and it doesn't feel so overly fatigued and making you feel stressed in the race. To break how to run a sub 4 hour marathon requires you to really focus in and narrow down what pace you want to run at. And obviously, we know it's 9 minutes and 9 seconds, but what do you need to do in order to sustain that pace without slowing down? As we all know, it's one thing to be able to sustain sub 4 hour marathon pace for 16 or 17 miles, but what do you do on those latter miles? And a major mistake a lot of marathoners make, and that I made in my past too, is obviously running too many miles too slow and not spending enough time at a higher anaerobic effort during your long runs. Obviously there's a lot that goes into the marathon distance, and you got to get on the track, and you got to be able to get on the track and do like 6 to 8 mile reps around 8 minute to 8:20 mile pace. So you're practicing running much faster than you're really planning on running for the marathon. So it's a combination of a lot of things. So to break a 4 hour marathon, you don't necessarily have to run higher mileage. There are athletes all around the world that are able to break the 4 hour marathon that are running minimal mileage. Maybe it's like 40 miles a week or 50 miles a week. But it's what you're putting into those weekly miles is what counts. It's not just volume. It's the quality of your mileage. It's are you preparing in terms of your recovery after the hard training sessions? Are you doing those? Are you doing those aerobic capacity type workouts, those sprint workouts? Where you're really working your overall your at your maximum heart rate, just about at your maximum heart rate. All those things really factor into breaking a 4 hour marathon. You got to get to a point where you're running your long runs at a faster effort and at a higher heart rate for a long period of time. The big challenge is for a lot of marathoners is, we all want results fast. It's totally normal to want to go out and get a sub 4 and run a 3:59 mile marathon, the first try out. Sometimes, it might take a few training blocks for you to finally break that barrier. You can do a lot of things right, but when it comes down to especially the last 3 weeks of the marathon, when you start to taper down, a lot of things you can easily do wrong too. Obviously, if you're staying up too late, you're not giving yourself enough rest. Those particular variables of training for a marathon, and especially trying to break a 4 hour marathon, can really affect your performance come race day. Worrying about what other athletes are doing, or did I do enough mileage, or did I do all the proper training? The worrying can also really affect you on a psychological level. But if you change up your strategy of what you do those 12 to 16 weeks leading into your major marathon, will greatly enhance and greatly increase your chances of success at breaking the 4 hour marathon. So if it was me personally trying to break a 4 hour marathon, I would obviously, and I know we're all different. Everybody's work schedules are different. If you're working a full-time job, then you have to prioritize, your day and planning your training, work your plan and plan your work. That's the name of the game when it comes to running a marathon and racing a marathon for a fast a fast time, fast effort for long periods of time. You really have to prioritize what you're doing throughout the week. Um, Dr. Joe Vigil said it best. He's like, there's 24 hours in a day. If your coach asks you to do 2 days, then do 2 days. Compartmentalize what you're doing throughout the day so you can fit in all the things you need to get done. If that means you have to get up earlier prior to work and get your first workout in, or you have to maybe your schedule doesn't allow you to do the track sessions in the morning. You need to do them in the evening. Get out there and do it, because um, if you commit and you stay persistent and consistent with your training, um, it's going to set you up for success trying to break a 4-hour marathon. But obviously, to get under a 4-hour marathon, you really have to be very, very disciplined, very focused, very driven. It's not an easy time. It's a very, very competitive time. Um, and I can tell you from my own background too. It's the marathon distance takes a lot out of you. You have to, it's a lot of work, but you also have to still not take it so seriously that other areas of your life that are way more important than running. Obviously, your family, maybe you're in school. Um, you know, just like I said, prioritizing your what you need to get done throughout the day, and compartmentalize all of your the things you need to get done, and you'll succeed. But when it comes to running the marathon in under 4 hours, um, obviously you got to get to a point where you're like doing tempo runs. Tempo runs are also called anaerobic threshold runs. I know a lot of my subscribers here on the YouTube channel and from RunDreamAchieve.com. A lot of the athletes that I talk to are obviously going to know a lot of what I'm talking about. I mean, some of this stuff is probably going to be very, very routine to you, but I don't know who's watching this video. It might be somebody brand new to RunDreamAchieve.com or the YouTube channel. So, um, you know, take some of this, with a grain of salt. If it applies, great. If it doesn't, um, you know, take bits and pieces of what works best for you and what doesn't. But I'm only sharing some of the ideas that I think will help you. Obviously, running slow every single weekend during those long runs will build your strength and your endurance. But when you're trying to break a 4-hour marathon, it's more about stamina and sustained effort. 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile for 26.2 miles requires a lot of hard work. It requires um, obviously a lot of anaerobic work and aerobic capacity work, which, those tempo runs that I mentioned, that's at a heart rate of anywhere from like 164 to 174 beats per minute. Um, Getting accustomed to doing tempo runs anywhere from like 8 miles to 16 miles in length is going to make you extremely, extremely strong when it comes to running a marathon. And that's how you get under 4 hours. You have to, um, you can't spend 90% of your weekly volume running, a minute to 2 minutes slower than 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile. You have to, obviously, it's not about volume as much as it is about quality of the volume that you're putting in. Uh, you know, Common mistake athletes make is they think that higher mileage will equate to a faster marathon time. That's not always the case. It's really about uh, obviously proper rest. Running easy is still critically important. You have to run relaxed and allow time for your body to get those benefits, those physiological benefits that come from doing those track sessions. When you get on the track and you're out there and you're doing 3 to 4 2-mile repetitions on the track, and you have like a 5 to 7 minute rest between each rep, and you're doing those 2-mile repetitions at about a minute faster than your goal marathon race pace. So in your case, you'd want to be doing them at about 16 minutes flat. Obviously that is outstanding. That's the type of workouts you want to be doing. 3 to 4 2-mile reps on the track. That's a large volume of training spent way faster than you're trying to run for the marathon. So that's an example. Doing your long runs, I teach running a harder long run one weekend and then the following weekend run very, very relaxed. I mean, just you don't even necessarily have to wear your watch. If you know you have a 20-mile route and you want to get out there, go out 10 miles and come back, don't even wear your watch. Don't focus on pace. Just, put on some tunes, or with friends. If you're with friends and you're in a group, you have to be even more careful because it's very, very easy to, um, you know, run faster than you need to be running. So be very, very cognizant of that if you're running with a group of runners, especially if you did like a track session on, say it's a Tuesday, you did that track session on Tuesday and you went out and you're running with a group on a Wednesday, and they didn't do that track workout, So maybe they're running a little bit too fast or faster than you need to be running. So be very, very cognizant of that as well when you're trying to train and prepare for a 4-hour marathon. Go very, very, very hard on your hard days, but take it very, very easy on those relaxed recovery days, because your benefits are going to come in the rest. It's not going to come from the workout. Your body's going to actually become weaker from doing those track workouts, those tempo runs, those long runs, and especially the long runs that are what I teach, doing your long runs at about 160 beats per minute. This is one of the main reasons why I was able to improve my marathon from 2 hours, 43 minutes and 36 seconds to 2 hours, 19 minutes, 35 seconds. I alternated a harder long run one weekend, followed by a very, very easy long run the following weekend. It was always that way. Obviously, you can't run hard every single weekend for a long run. It'll make you stale, it'll make you irritable, and then it's also obviously a way to burn out too. So, breaking a 4-hour marathon really comes down to proper planning. What are you doing from week 1 to week 16? I have the sub 4-hour marathon mastery course that I teach. I'll leave the link below if you want to check that out. I go very, very in depth on what it takes to break a 4-hour marathon. I want to get more athletes here in the United States and around the world to get to that point where they can sustain 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile for 26.2 miles comfortably, where it's, I don't want you getting to mile 8 or 9 in a marathon and you're holding that pace, but you feel fatigued, and then you have to slow down, and then you miss your goal. Maybe you run like a 4-hour and 52-minute marathon when your real goal is 3 hours and 59 minutes. So what I teach in that course is, what are the steps? What do you need to do to be able to sustain that pace and get to a point where you're able to hold, sub 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile up until like mile 20, and then but you're still able to react and make even greater changes in that last 10K, where you can, somebody passes you in the race or somebody tries to throw a surge at you during the race, you can make those reactions. You can make those changes in pace even that late in the race. So, the sub 4-hour marathon, like I said, is highly, highly competitive. I want to get, if you're near that time, I want to get you under that time. I want to get you to a point where you're visualizing, you're seeing yourself doing that, and you're spending. This is another thing that a lot of athletes miss. We spend so much time on the physical training that we don't focus on the often training component that we often miss, and that's mental training. Are you visualizing yourself? Are you spending time each day, whether 20 minutes to an hour each day, just visualizing yourself with 3:59 on the clock? See yourself doing that in your mind's eye first. You have to see it mentally before it ever becomes a reality in real life. And I say that because that's what I did from 2002 to 2007. I spent 5 years of just nonstop training, trying to break 2 hours and 22 minutes when I was still a 2:43 marathoner. So I know what you're going through. I know what the only difference between us is just the paces. It's not, if you follow the same training principles that I followed for you trying to break a 4-hour marathon and what I teach in the sub 4-hour marathon mastery course, you're going to break 4 hours. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you just have to stay consistent and believe in yourself and know that you can do it. So, like I said, I'll leave the description of the link to that in the description below. Definitely take a look at it. If you have any questions, you have like any specific questions regarding this specific time barrier that you really have had issues with in the past, leave me a comment below. I love getting input from my readers and subscribers and people that come to the site, as well as on RunDreamAchieve.com. I really love getting the input from you because it tells me, allows me to see what is the major pain point that's causing you from not breaking a 4-hour marathon. So that's what I really want to know. I do know a lot of the pitfalls that a lot of athletes have in trying to break this time standard. So and that's what I teach in the sub 4-hour marathon mastery course. So if you're at 5:02 or say 4:46 for the marathon, or you're in that 4-hour range and you're trying to become a 3:59 or faster marathoner, uh, definitely check that link out. And I know the course will definitely help you. So with that, I'll stop for now. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely click on subscribe and the bell icon. That way, when I make new videos, you'll be the first to know. YouTube will send you a notification of the newest videos been made, and hopefully these videos will help you in your preparation and in your racing. Like I said, the mental piece of breaking a 4-hour marathon is very, very important. You have to see yourself breaking that time and running, coming across the finish line with a 3:59, 59 or faster time on the clock. I spent 5 years seeing 2:21:59 on the clock when I was a 2:43 marathoner, and I know how you feel, when you feel like you're so many minutes away, and it's like it seems so far away. But if you're doing the proper training and you're, like I said, you're preparing to train in the correct manner, and you're really stressing your anaerobic system often enough, and you're putting in that volume, and you're allowing yourself time to relax, obviously allowing yourself time to rest from those hard efforts, you're really setting yourself up for success. And it's like I said, it's not a question of if, but a question of when. And my goal as your coach and as your mentor here is to get you results faster. My main focus is to get athletes to use leverage. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. So I'll end there for now. Have a great evening and look forward to hearing from you.